Hello, Spirit Finger. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to Love Unconditioned. It's been a while, people. It's been a while, but we move, we stay committed, we show up for ourselves. Guys, I'm loving my little tan that I've got going on, very golden bronze. In fact, that's very in line, very in tune with our theme for today. We are back with what are we on? Chapter 6, the power of self-care. Let's go. Let's double down on that. Let's double click on that and let's go down a rabbit hole of self-care and how that fosters self-love. Now I'm going to touch very briefly, I've got some notes here, very briefly on what the role is of self-care and how that helps to foster self-love. Now, this is obviously, you guys know about the thinking behind the podcast and what I touched on episode 1 or chapter 1, where we chatted around, I went to go and see a doctor, and, there was a discussion on society and how there's that negative self-talk, toxic self-talk, feelings of lack, feelings of not good enough, feelings of unworthiness, and I think we're getting to the brink of the why of this podcast and the crux of it and the meaty bits. I think from chapters 1 through to 5, it was very much around how do we put in those boundaries, how do we place people where they should be, how we unravel and untangle some of those negative bits and those ugly bits, and I feel like we're really getting into the practicing of self-love, self-care, all of those lovely things. But anyway, so the role of self-care is very much foundational. So when we said boundaries, learning to say no. By the way, there's a lot that's been coming up for me on learning to say no and boundaries and all of that, putting our needs first. Oh my goodness. In fact, I feel like I've got not a change of heart, not a change of perspective, but a deeper perspective on that. Deeper, very, very much insightful, and some things that have been unraveling for me. So in fact, let's talk a little bit about that. So I've now been reading this book. I don't know if I mentioned it in the last podcast, but I've been reading this book called No One Was the Nice Guy, something about proven techniques to get what you want out of life. Now, I have to put out a disclaimer there that it's not about becoming a jerk or an ugly person and being nasty and all of that. It's very much framed around putting our needs first, or not even first, but learning to prioritize our needs. And I have always been, I don't think I've been seen as a caretaker, but I feel like I've been a caretaker. I feel like I've been a lifeline for many people very close to me, many people that I don't even know. And it's crazy how we actually end up overextending ourselves at the detriment of And it's really this fine line that I'm trying to get to between um, where does my generosity end? Um, where do I fit in getting my needs met? You know, and really that's the ugliness, not the ugly bit of it, but the yuckiness of it. And it's like, oh, can I just be? Oh no. You know, it's almost like, can I just be me? I'm a kind person generally. I'm giving, I'm forgiving, generous, and all of those things. And that's some underlying factors that I think I'm not going to get into now. Some very personal things I've been discovering about myself, where I would tend to people's needs, firstly, at the expense of my own, but also because I want to get into their good books. Oh, and it's like, I see it. It's almost like the default reaction for me would be, you know, let me start cooking for everybody. Let me make breakfast on the weekend if we have guests over or whatever the case is. And it's all good and well, but when it eats away, again, you guys have been hearing this thing, when it chips away at your authenticity, when it chips away at your needs, when you get to a space of being depleted and battery low, because it's always tending to other people's needs. Even doctors, even nurses, even priests, even therapists, psychiatrists, teachers, policemen, anybody that's tending to other people's needs, if they don't get enough sleep, if they don't put boundaries in place, if they're always on and always taking care of and always being in that caretaker mode, what happens to them at the end of the day? What happens to their needs? What happens if they literally don't prepare for themselves a glass of water or a meal and stuff like that? So that's been stuff that's been unraveling for me, but very beautifully, very beautifully, I must be honest, where I'm like, okay, it's actually not a bad thing to prioritize my needs and to see what it is that I want, see what it is that I need. What's the texture of my soul? What's the texture of my being from time to time? You know, what does my pulse feel like? Not in the typical medical sense, but just spiritually, emotionally. What's the texture of my well-being? And I feel like it's almost natural, almost natural, a natural flow of events, where if you start prioritizing what you need, tending to your wounds, tending to your feelings, checking in on you, naturally those, I don't know, I want to say boundaries, but yes, boundaries that start to fall into place, where other people will be like, I know, and I might have even chatted about it in the last episode. Oh, I know that Craig is going to be doing a self-care ritual. Some people know about it already, and it could look like on a Sunday afternoon that I pour myself a glass of wine, and I'm running myself a bath, and I've got candles burning, and there's Chinese music playing in the background, or instrumental or harp music playing in the background, and people know already, yeah, no, that's Craig's time, and I'm not going to interfere. I'm not even going to ask him to come out with me for drinks or whatever the case is. Let me not even cross that boundary. For instance, that's just an example. So not to harp too much on that. Maybe once we're completely done with all these chapters and episodes, we can really come back to some episodes that's been difficult for people, or some themes that have been a little bit complicated and not easy to grasp and understand and live out and practice, maybe we can revisit some of these themes. And I feel like also as we navigate post, chapter 10, if things come up and there's things happening in and around the world that I'm like, let's get back into that, then we can. But that then leads into this element of self-care, and how that is just a foundation of meeting your needs, meeting yourself where you're at, making it practical, and that it just becomes an expression of how you value yourself. You know what I mean? And there's a couple of ways to look at self-care. I think that the basic 3 that come to mind, maybe 4 that come to mind, is physical well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being, and I would say spiritual well-being. There's other technical things like financial well-being and all of those things that I feel like can form part of these 4 that I would say. But anyway, so with this being a foundation of self-love, self-care, almost you start to understand your worth and understand your value, and nothing in the monetary sense or any of these things that we see in the world, where you really start to believe that you are invaluable, you are priceless. And I'm not just like throwing around these words. It's like when you navigate through life, there's these things that fall away, and you start to believe what the world tells you, and you start to believe what bullies tell you, or people in the workplace, or just nasty people around you, where you start to believe or sing a tune that you don't look good, you don't seem good, you've gained a bit of weight, so naturally that means you're unworthy. And it's just these bizarre thoughts and feelings that come at you, that challenge you actually understanding your worth. I've said this before, we don't realize that the same energy, the same spark that is running through the stars and the moon and the sun and everything around us, everything that keeps things in place, that makes the waves crash, that keeps the sand, each grain of sand, in place. The same energy is actually the same energy that keeps us powered, that keeps us alive, that keeps us human, that keeps us smiling and waking up in the mornings. It's like we almost haven't truly grasped that. I have to remind myself very often. Very often I would wake up in the mornings, and especially if I'm demotivated, which is very often, I have to almost challenge that notion of, hang on, no, I am a beautiful spark of light. I am a beautiful spark of perfection, and I've got my flaws, but that's not who I am. That's not part of my identity, and that's not, it makes me, it's part of that puzzle, it's part of that puzzle, it's part of that footprint of me, but it's not the biggest part of me. And sometimes we can just like spotlight on that. I've made the example of people wanting to lose weight. Let me just lose 2 more kgs, and then I'll feel more lovable, then I'll feel more, it's the furthest thing from the truth. So many examples that I can think of for myself, where it's like I place my my default is to place my sense of joy and my sense of value and worth and love and beauty, and that's like such a lovely feeling. But I often, very often, place that sense of control and that lever, like if I want to push it to its highest, to a full throttle, full nozzle, I place that control or switch in other people's hands. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. Maybe it's just specific to the journey that I've had or my childhood or whatever the case is, but and that can lead to a lot of discomfort and pain and suffering. I have to consciously, if I show you my journal, I had to go and get a journal. It takes practice. It takes, how can I say, disturbing that flow. Because naturally the default is, that person cut me off. Oh my word, why was I born into this family? Oh my word, why do I have to have ADHD? Or crazy negative self-talk, where it's like, if that's the default, switching that up almost feels like more effort, more drama, more work. I think it becomes so draining. But the minute you start, I don't want to derail here, but just to round up this point of that feeling of self-worth, is that we cannot be placing that drive and that emotional worth and self-worth in other people's hands. You have to take that back. Very often I have to remind myself, hang on, everyone is going through their own journey in life, and crazy thing I've heard so many times before, but other people that are crossing my pathway, potentially even crossing my boundaries, are living a life based on the tools in their toolbox. I'm not making excuses, but so many times we would try and get upset at other people for them crossing our boundaries, and for us actually going back on our word and going back on what we value, but just to round up that point, self-love grows when you are repeatedly treating yourself as deserving of kindness, deserving of love, deserving of good things, deserving of good moments and good laughter. Oh, I love a good laugh. Oh, it's like it can go straight into my journal if I have a good laugh, and if I have a good moment with another human being. So yeah, savor those moments. You deserve good moments. You deserve good feelings and good vibes. And keep telling yourself that, actually. Affirm your worth. Affirm that you are deserving. You're more than deserving of love and kindness and nourishment, and care. Yeah, I think really there's moments of, there's so much negative self-talk and toxic self-talk that it's like, just sit in the back seat just for a moment, After a heavy, long day, double up on those moments of self-care, self-love, affirming your worth, affirming that, you know what, I am doing the best that I can at every given moment. I believe that. I truly believe that each and every one of us are doing the possible best that we can at any given moment, given the tools that we have access to, given the emotions that we know, given the memories that we have access to, There's some other things that I've got here in terms of research. Self-care builds emotional resilience, and it does. If I think of the way that I've been practicing, people, the writing. Oh, no, you guys mustn't see. I hope you guys didn't see them, but but oh my god, you guys can see this. Now you guys can see that also. But but as I've actually been practicing this thing, guys, it's like there's a muscle that I've now noticed that I'm starting to practice and building this emotional resilience. It's like it replenishes my mental well-being. It replenishes that what's the opposite of negative self-talk? Positive self-belief or positive self-affirmations, stuff like that. It's like a practice. It actually is like a practice. It's like a muscle that I'm starting to build. Instead of going to people that can, share your business and, share your stuff and break your trust. Write in a journal, guys. Write in a journal. I have journaled like some time back, but for a while I haven't. And I've got here affirmations. Affirmations. I am a good person just as I am. And this is very situational. So very contextual. It's like if I have a moment of negative self-talk and I've been faced with a particular situation that annoys me, I'm okay just as I am. I don't need fixing. Remember that time I said I was sitting outside the psychiatrist's office because I had this deep innate notion or crazy self-belief that I need fixing. I'm demotivated, stuff like that. I lack energy in the mornings. A whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of things. And I think I said that in the episode 1 where I would self-diagnose and all of that nonsense. I don't need fixing. Medically, maybe people might say, oh God, guys, I was actually thinking some time back that I wanted to share something very deep. And I'm wondering if I should share it now or in another episode. Oh, let me just touch on it briefly now. Let me touch it very briefly. So when I'm saying I don't need fixing and I'm not flawed, for that time that I went to go and see a doctor, and I'd explain I don't have focus, I'm very impulsive, whatever the case is, and I'm just all over the place. My thoughts are running. When I'm laying in bed at midnight, I just can't sleep because my mind is racing, and I thought I had ADHD or I can't remember all these self-diagnoses that I had. Turns out that I was diagnosed, and I'm not finding it funny. It's just the laughter is coming from something, firstly, that I didn't expect. Secondly, something that I didn't understand. I still don't understand it, to be honest. And then thirdly, something that I haven't identified with. It hasn't become part of who I am. Anyway, I'm digressing. Don't want to digress too much. But, so I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Don't ask me what it is because I'll probably lie. I won't give you something that would make you understand it. But all I know is it's a very complicated mental, I guess, disorder or mental sickness, or I don't know. Honestly, like, even when the doctor told me this, I told the doctor very straight up that this is not going to become part of my identity. Yes, I researched maybe twice in the last year that I was diagnosed. Was it this year or last year? Might have been this year. Yeah. Anyway, and for a time being, I still have my moments where I'll go down a rabbit hole and thinking, it's because of the borderline personality disorder. I'll crucify myself. But with that, I was very upfront with the doctor, and I said that, I'm not going to let this define me. It's not part of my identity. It's not part of who I am. Not to say that I was in denial. I was anything but in denial. They gave me meds and a whole host of stuff. And I'm thankfully off it now. Donkey. I'm off those meds for, gosh, I don't know, like maybe 4 months. Guys, I know I'm digressing, but I actually really wanted to get into that story. I'll share maybe a bit more in the next couple of episodes on that. But anyway, so with that diagnosis, I was very firm in that. And I think this is where that self-love and self-care came in, because people can become victim to their diagnosis, or people can become a victim to the stuff that they go through, and very upfront, I thought to myself, you know what, this isn't something that I need fixed. This isn't something that I need, that makes me flawed. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That I need fixing, that there's something wrong with me and that I'm not perfect. Absolutely not. And I'm not degrading medical procedures and any of that, really. I'm not. I think it was just an individual thing that I decided, I see the research, I see what physicians and doctors and psychologists say about this, but that's not part of my identity. It adds to my journey, absolutely, it adds to my journey, and it can come as a curveball, it can come as guideposts and stuff like that, absolutely. But what that thinking actually did for me was that it actually helped me build emotional resilience, self-resilience, and form part of that basis of self-care, to be honest, because it's not a toxic self-talk that I'm giving myself. I'm not breaking myself down about this thing, so that was quite an interesting journey, that I'll also share a little bit on in the next episode or two. Gosh, we only have 2 more episodes left, by the way. Anyway. I am good. I am lovable. I can get my needs met. Woo! Powerful one. I can get my needs met. There's a couple of things here. I am celebrated for being me. With my beautiful hair. I love this, guys. I really, really love this. Try it sometime, make it personal. If you have a little bit of meat on you, write it to yourself and say, my curves make me beautiful. My braid, the fact that I say R differently, I almost said that I can't say R, makes me unique, Double down on that. This was like just 7 affirmations that I wrote here, and I should be writing more. Write a whole page full. In fact, write a whole page full, and that's going to become a little practice for you to build emotional resilience. I'm not going to go through all of this other research. It strengthens self-awareness, supports physical and mental health. Yes, absolutely. Creates boundaries. For sure, this is literally what I said. Self-care involves saying no when necessary. No explanation needed, guys. It's something that I'm practicing. It's something that I'm starting to work with. It's not easy. because I like to be the caretaker, I like to feel needed. Trauma, guys, this is just something else. Anyway, respecting your boundaries strengthens self-esteem, reinforces the habit of loving yourself. Yes, yes, yes. Transform self-criticism. As per our chat, I almost said last time, chapter 5. When you make time for yourself without guilt, you practice forgiving yourself and accepting your imperfections. Bottom line is that self-care isn't indulgence or selfishness. It's a deliberate, ongoing practice that builds a habit of self-love, self-care, and over time, the way that you care for yourself becomes proof that to yourself, you are worthy of love, care, and respect. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Well, this was fun, guys and girls. And in between, I'm very excited about the journey that we've had. It's been very eye-opening for me, very self-actualizing for me, very yes, as fun as it has been. It's been a beautiful journey for me to unravel and untangle some of these things where I'm like, eintlik, I don't double down on self-love as much as I should. Back then, not like now and now recently, you know. And guys, it's like some simple daily habits can involve things like so I've been exercising lately. I've been exercising, and that's been something that I've been promising myself, because I feel good after I've exercised, you know. I might not always have the motivation to do it and to complete it, to even start it, but I do it, you know, as uncomfortable as it is. It's a habit of self-care, self-love. So that could be like in the physical thing of caring for yourself. Physical self-care can involve things like walking, doing yoga, meditation. No, that's more mind, or mental, even spiritual. But yeah, physical, there's a lot. We tend to not double down on the physical, you know, as much as you think, oh, physical involves like exercise and stuff like that. It can, but also just walking and being by yourself is a habit of self-care, you know. So that's a bit of a challenge that I actually want to pose to all of you. What's that physical self-care that you plan to do, you know? Because your future self will actually thank you for it. Emotional self-care habits or emotional practices could involve things like checking in on yourself, writing about what you feel, naming the emotion. There's a book by Brené Brown, Atlas of the Heart, that I want to get into. But yeah, I think emotional self-care and emotional habits could involve things like that. Maybe even listening to good music that you haven't listened to in a while, music that puts you in a good mood. Mental care, oh, there's so many. Obviously journaling, meditating, prayer, reading books, listening to podcasts, also checking in on yourself, maybe checking in on yourself through a friend, if that even makes sense, you know, sharing with a friend what you're going through, sharing with a partner or parent if, you know, they open to you like that, that you share what's on your mind and share what's happening in your world. Oftentimes myself and Larry will have moments of what's top of mind for you, you know. Yes, it can sound very businessy, but what's been laying on your spirit for a while, what's been tugging at your heartstrings. And you'll be surprised how that intentional, and you don't have to have a partner and or another person that you want to do that with. Can just be at the end of a day, end of a work week, and really just rounding that up with what's been pulling at my heartstrings this week, you know. A lot of those types of things. And there's a couple of other stuff that I'm thinking of trying to get into that I don't wanna give too much away. Very secretive today, you know. Things like, trying to learn to play the guitar. Guys, I've had this guitar for like years in our house. The blue guitar, I've actually fixed it. It broke. I fixed it a couple of months ago, and it's just one of those things, man. But those types of things I actually want to get into, where it's like, what's important for me, and maybe this journey now that I've been unraveling and coming to terms with, it's okay to actually prioritize my needs. Where I'm like, you know what, it's not a bad idea to actually spend some time alone and just hang out with me and do things that I enjoy doing, which could include learning to play the guitar, learning to speak a new language, trying out a new hobby. Sometimes people don't have time, but guys, we have to make time, man. We have to make time. Anyway, before we head off, me and Sir, there's a couple of book suggestions, and I am so excited for this. This is a good one. Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. I think I have this at home. So I am super excited to get into that. I'm going to challenge myself and actually read this book before our next podcast, which is our second last one. Oh, that make me sad. Anyway, The Mountain Is You, Brianna Wiest delves into the concept of self-sabotage. Offering insights on how to transform inner obstacles into opportunities for personal growth. Very interesting. I don't know why these suggestions came up. This is quite interesting. Daring Greatly, a profound book by Brené Brown. This one focuses on the power of vulnerability and how embracing it can lead to courage, connection, and creativity. I also have that one, so I've got a lot of reading, guys. Eckhart Tolle, my favorite, emphasizes the importance of living in the present moment, offering guidance on how to let go of past regrets and future anxieties. That one I've also read. Beautiful book. I'd read it again anytime. The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz presents a code of conduct based on ancient Toltec wisdom, aiming to help individuals achieve personal freedom and true happiness. Apparently, those are book recommendations on self-care and nurturing well-being and cultivating self-love. So I'm very excited. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey once again. It's been very special seeing the feedback and seeing the comments come through, and people just relating to these topics, relating to the negative self-talk and the toxic inner voice and all of these things. Just realizing, that we're actually all in this journey together. As cliched as that sounds, to be honest. Someone on the outside might look very confident and bold and has it all together, but you know what? There's some softer sides to that person's reality that can involve things like negative self-talk and negative self-beliefs. But yeah, guys, this has been fun. I like just vibing with you. I think that's all on my radar, people. It's been fun engaging on this topic. It has to become intentional. It has to become a non-negotiable, you know, putting yourself first and checking in on you is very important. Very, very, very important. For our next episode, for sure, embracing our wholeness. Actually, now we've got 3 more episodes left. Stunning. Embracing our wholeness, navigating loving ourselves wholly, flaws included. Oh, I'm so excited for that. We're actually going to do affirmation exercises. Ooh, I'm very excited for that. We can actually do it together. When I say something, you can respond with it. I might not hear you, but we'll do it. Embracing our wholeness. There's a couple of examples that I can share on embracing that. Embodying self-acceptance. Writing a love letter to ourselves. Oh my word. Last time I actually did that was maybe after my mom passed. Oh, it was so powerful. So powerful. So maybe we can write that letter together, actually. So it's going to be a very hands-on exercise next time. I'm going to say next week. Maybe it should be next week. And reinforcing the beauty of embracing wholeness. I'm very excited for that. And then chapter 9, the beauty of imperfection. Hopefully then I would have read the gifts of imperfection. Letting go of perfectionism and embracing individuality. Ooh, powerful. And then rewriting our stories, reclaiming and reframing our life narratives. I said to a friend of mine some time ago that the trajectory of the podcast will go into a space of embodying the version of yourself that you want. And I've been really practicing that. I don't think I'm perfect, but I've been practicing that. You know, waking up in the mornings and saying to myself that today is going to be a good day. I'm trying my best at every given moment. That I am worthy, I am lovable, I am special and unique. Guys might think that some of these things are so corny, but that thing first thing in the morning, that frame of mind, is so powerful. So powerful. So she was very excited for that when I told her, you know, we rewriting our story. Chapter 10 will be on embodying the reality of ourselves, or the version of ourselves that we want to become. And there's so much research on that. You guys know that I've read that book on, I think it's Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and another one by Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, also by Joe Dispenza. And he firmly believes that there is power in becoming the version of yourself, no matter what. Even if you are distracted, even if it's difficult, you can become the version of yourself that you want. Plain and simple. Not easy, but absolutely doable. Anyway, this has been absolutely beautiful. It's been very inspiring for me to unpack these concepts with you. Go out there, take a bath. Yesterday was just such a busy day for me, like a hectic day, that I decided, you know what, I'm gonna take a nice hot bath. It was after a long day. My body was just like, it's almost like I just paused, like after a long road trip, you just either stop in the middle of the road, or you have a pit stop, or you stop somewhere. And there's almost like that inertia that's happening, or that the body experiences. Where it's like I'm just catching up with me. I didn't have a phone close by, I didn't have music, nothing. It was just a bath, a plain old bath. I didn't even have candles. It was just a me moment. I meditated a little bit, and that helped. But that was just one thing across many little practices and self-care habits that we can incorporate, that I want to leave with you. Make those moments, make time for you, as much as you make time for other people. Check in on you, check in on what you need, and prioritize it, make it happen. Create the moments of joy, and create the moments of self-care that you deserve. Oh my word, I can't get it into your head enough. You are worthy. You are worthy. You are worthy. You are worthy. Thank you. I love you. Take care. Spirit fingers. Lots of love.